Okay. So thankfully Laurel posted some great summaries of our last session. Um, but I'm not going to read them all out loud to you. But yeah, Laurel went back and did a summary for session 29. I finished 28, and then she did 29, 30, and 31, so thanks to Laurel for doing that, because that was a lot of work.
Thanks, Laurel.
You're welcome. I didn't finish 31.
Oh.
It ends on a cliffhanger.
Ooh. Who knows what'll happen? You guys do, because it happened to you. So, basically, oh, Johoff, Tim, you can't see anything, but
That's fine.
Okay. It might be a while before you see anything.
It's because my eyes are closed and I'm, passed out.
True. Well, if you want, you could just watch the Twitch stream and then mute it, and then you would have at least, like, a sense of what's happening on the screen. That way you don't get double talk or whatever.
Yeah, I might do that.
Okay, anyways, so last time you guys were coming back from kind of an intense fight in the underground area. You went, in the Brackish Inn, and you went to bed, and in the morning when you woke, Marin informed you that there was something that he needed your help with. Given the circumstances with the cult and various things in the city, a lot of the members of the guild are a little bit stretched thin. They're out kind of defensively scouting and defending the guild, so to speak. So nobody was available to look for Evander, who had gone missing after recently going down to the lower level to investigate the library. When you guys got down to the 4th level, you discovered that there was a lot more to the 4th level than just the library, and you found Evander had been sort of held hostage or kidnapped, or captured, I guess is the proper term for an adult, by a group of strange woodwoads, which are plant-based sentient creatures who had been tasked with the job of defending a druid sanctum until the druid returned, but that had happened over 15, or at least over 1,000 years ago, and they had not heard from him. Anyways, in their senility, these woodwoads had sort of lost touch with what they were up to, and through some clever work of Evander, enabling one of the woodwoads to speak with you, you guys were able to sort of convince them to go through the portal to the Feywild that was open in this area, upon which, or after which, Damon closed the portal, sealing them in the Feywild forever. And you guys rescued Evander, and after which you would think maybe he would want to go back, but his excitement to see this library that had been essentially preserved in this building for 1,500 years was too much for him to resist, and you guys decided that as a group you would investigate it. When you arrived, you found a relatively undisturbed library, albeit one covered in cobwebs and dust, and upon inspecting one of the books, Missile decided that it wasn't of his interest and tossed it on the ground, creating a loud noise, which prompted a very strange response from a ghastly librarian who informed him that he was being too loud. But you guys continued on anyways and went to open a door in the back to the special selections unit or area, and this triggered a swarm of astral wraiths which descended upon your group from every direction, and a fight ensued. It was looking bad at first, but with the help of your divine magic and a little quick thinking, you were able to fend off the undead assault and sort of rid this area of the evil that had permeated it. In the back room, you found a tome which sat on a pedestal, and the pedestal itself was sort of generating a portal to the astral plane. This kind of coincided with what you'd heard before about powerful magic items possibly opening up portals to other dimensions, and so Damon quickly set to closing the portal to ensure that no more astral wraiths or anything else came through it. And I believe that's basically where we ended. You guys are in kind of the back room of this special selections of this library, and all around you are a host of spellbooks and other very expensive and ancient tomes. Still in the center of the room is a tome in black leather that kind of seems to emanate energy quietly. And Evander turns to you guys and says, well, I don't know about you guys, but I could definitely use a rest.
Wagner nods in agreement.
Marcus is sitting in a chair because part of his soul is gone.
Got it.
Is that before or after you came back from being imprisoned?
After. This is a recent theft of my vital life force by a evil undead ghost entity.
Right. So more Mike him when we get back to the barracks. Got it.
That's what he needs right now.
Yeah, Vosner's down for taking a rest.
Do we know anything about the book in the middle of the room yet? Have we looked at it?
No. And as you get closer, Evander says, be careful. The books in this room are potentially very powerful. You must, just be careful.
I chuckle and say all books are potentially very very powerful, and would like to maybe run a history check on the book.
Yeah.
Just if I can eyeball it.
Yeah. So do a history for me.
All right. Add an extra proficiency, or add 3 to that.
Oh, I see. Critical failure.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
Why is it +8?
I don't know. Okay. Hey, Gert, your mic's echoing for some reason.
My mic's echoing?
Yeah, I was just hearing a lot of background stuff. I don't know. So with even a 12, it's a critical failure, so you don't hear very much, or you can't tell very much.
I mistake it for a piece of food.
That's right. It's not that bad, but... do you guys short rest then? Hey, Gert, can you do push-to-talk or something? Because for some reason I can hear myself in your mic.
I'd be happy to take a short rest in here.
Okay.
It's not that you can get upstairs right away, right?
Sorry, what?
We can get up. It's not far to get upstairs, is it? Or do we want to guard the book? Is that what we're...
Yeah. Evander seems to want to wait for Marin to come down. So
yeah, makes sense. Okay, cool. Yep. Well, I'm lounging in my chair. Taryn, are you almost dead right now?
Yeah, I'm pretty messed up.
Oh, great. I gesture for you to come over to me.
I do.
Yeah, and I just put my hands on your shoulder and I just kind of mutter a prayer. But you can tell, I just feel weak and messed up right now. So I will heal you for, would 30 go over your limit or not?
No.
Okay, yeah, 30.
Okay.
Karen looks very grateful and a lot better now.
Is there anything else of interest in this room, or is the book pretty much like the sole focus of attention?
Why don't you do an investigation check?
Why don't I indeed? Hey.
Holy shit. Yeah, you find some tomes that you think will be like very interesting to you. Though you get the vibe from Evander that this is kind of like maybe the guild's property first now. So you can't really just snag anything, but you like pull a few books and kind of like pull them out a little bit to like note to remember them later.
And I would mention to Evander that books are sacred and these are as safe with me as they are with anybody, but of course the guild gets priority.
He says, yeah, of course, but we want to make sure that, these things are looked through thoroughly beforehand by Marin. There's more than one story of a book that corrupts its reader.
Missile nods knowingly.
Has everybody done their short rest?
I don't think I get anything back for a short rest.
Hit dice, maybe, if you want to use those to heal yourself.
I am pretty healthy.
Okay. Okay. Vosner, as you're sitting there casually resting and kind of like looking around and looking at the books or whatever, you feel the pull of that book in the center of the room as though it's asking you to touch it. What do you do? You have to use your push to talk key. Vosner is
Can't find him.
asleep. No worries. Okay. Bosner will walk towards it slowly. Okay. Okay. Evander, who's been kind of like thumbing through a book that he's found, looks up at you and says, "What is it, Bosner?" He sees you say the book is luring you, and he says, "No, that is not normal. That's very curious." And he, for the first time, kind of goes up to it and investigates it closely, and he can tell that the spine of the book says "The Book of Death" by High Wizard Larlock. He says, "Odd indeed. it's not entirely clear. Sometimes books seem to choose us for strange reasons. And as you're talking to Evander, you feel a very strong urge to touch it. Make a charisma saving throw. Okay.
Is he actually standing? He's probably outside of 10 feet of me, right, John? So the +3 doesn't apply.
Correct.
Okay, I just
Yeah.
want to make sure.
Though even if you stood up and kind of got closer to him, feeling that something weird was going on, you can tell that even with your magic, this force is way more compelling than that. And all of a sudden, Vosner, his hand shoots out and touches the cover of the book, and as soon as he does, he disappears.
And I try to grab him when he does that.
Yeah, make a dexterity saving throw. Or, yeah, we'll say dexterity saving throw.
Saving throw.
Hey,
You grab him as soon as he's like touching the book, and you almost pull him back, but instead he still touches the book, but you both go invisible. And this is what you see.
is that Castle Strahd?
Damn it! Should have known we could never escape campaign 1.
You joke. Alright.
You were kind of flame rolling at all.
In front of you, a dark sky with no stars, and an immense black building towering over everything in sight. A long winding bridge leads all the way up to its front, and a figure in a black robe stands looking onward. He says, the man without turning to you says, "You are here again too early, and you've brought a friend." And he waits. He kind of grips his staff, and without looking back to you, he says, "You must tread carefully. Your work is not yet done. It's coming for you, Vosner. The darkness. But before the darkness, flames." And with that, you teleported instantly back to the library. To a very frantic Evander, who says, "Where did you go?"
Isolde's in total shock.
Gert, your microphone was working earlier.
You're
Can
muted or something.
you unmute yourself and just chit-chat?
Hang on, I'm gonna go help him fix this, because otherwise it's gonna keep giving us trouble.
Got it.
Does this work?
Yep.
I'm just gonna sit down.
Okay. Now that you can hear me, while I was in the Shadowfell, I said I was here before in my dreams. I asked them if this was the Shadowfell, and then we bamfed out. So
He would have said yes to that question, but he wouldn't have given you very much more in response. So just retcon that.
yeah, I guess if I had like another second, I probably would have asked him who he was, but probably he wouldn't have told me.
Yeah, perhaps not.
Okay. I don't know. I'm not there now. But I say it's a place that I've been before. The Shadowfell. And I've told you, some of you guys, about it. But there was a figure there that said I had been there again too early. That the darkness is coming for me, and before that darkness comes, there comes fire.
He looks at you very puzzled. He says, I don't understand any of that. Please don't ever touch the books.
I mean, I wouldn't normally touch books in general, especially strange magic ones, but that book just drew me toward it. I didn't even have control over my body, it seemed.
Very strange. Well, we'll have to tell Master Marin about this. And as soon as he says that, you hear the door of the library open, and you hear somebody say, Bear Squad, are you here? Evander?
I call out, we're here, alive, in the back.
And in walks Master Marin, Arvine, and Lyra, the Blue Wizard. And he says, This is an incredible find. I trust you're all in good health.
For the most part.
Very good. Evander, explain yourself. And Evander explains that he was looking in this library for something to help with the cult of Cyric. Maybe an answer to why they were pushing so hard to get to the guild and to break into it. And he mentions being captured by the Woodwodes and how your group was so deft in convincing them to leave, and helped him clear out this library and make it safe and close the portal to the astral plane. At the end of which he says to Marin, and there's this curious book that, well, unfortunately, Vosner touched it, and he and Isolde disappeared for a moment. I'm not entirely sure what to make of it. I tried to tell them not to touch anything, but... And Marin says, No matter, it's fine. As long as no one is hurt. And he goes over to this book, kind of scooting past everybody. And he inspects it for a moment, kind of gutting on all sides of it, eyeing it up. And he moves his hands and sort of like creates this strange black orb. And then he grabs the book and thrusts the book into this black orb, and then he moves his hand again, and the orb like bamps out of existence, and the book is gone. He says, That should keep it safe for now. Is there anything else that you found in here worth investigating? And he kind of turns to you guys, see if like you guys found anything.
Vosner is just slack-jawed about the books in general and what he just saw.
What about you, Missile? Have you found anything of interest?
I think he's away from his computer for a hot second.
Oh, no worries. Oh yeah, bad timing. All right.
I'll tell Marin just like about the Banshee and stuff that we just fought.
Most curious. Well, I'm glad that it was you that came down here to help Evander. I imagine him fighting those things by himself would have been rather one-sided. And he sort of looks at Evander with like a, I don't know, kind of patronizing face.
Disapproving dad face.
Yeah, and Evander looks a little bit embarrassed.
I tell Marin as best I can what just happened to Isolde, and I go into the shadow plane with the weird wizard guy, or whatever guy was there, on the bridge and all of that.
Yeah, John, can I do like a religion check or a history check and see if Isolde would have ever heard about like anything that she just saw in terms of like the bridge and the stairs and the buildings?
Sure.
Which would you prefer, religion or history?
History. I'm gonna
That's such a
say
good mod.
you're pretty sure that that thing was built at some point in the past.
Dang. So insightful.
Yeah. You're pretty sure it has a history.
She's pretty unsure that she has anything to add to this conversation and is just in general a little shell-shocked. So I think she's just gonna go over to DeMarcus and see how he's feeling and just kind of linger over in that corner.
Okay.
DeMarcus is just like tired out, you can tell. But he likes the reaction.
Yeah, she can tell. Yeah. She doesn't have, she's not gonna waste magic like trying to fix it right now since we're gonna go rest, but she's just kind of hovering.
I just realized I had the game paused the whole time. You guys couldn't move your characters. So sorry. Yeah. Okay. So, Marin, after putting that book in a pocket dimension, turns to you and says, I, have something I'd like to show you. Would you come with me, Bear Squad? Evander, you can stay here and tend to the books.
Is it wise to leave someone in here alone?
I imagine Evander can handle whatever's around. This place seems relatively clear of magic and, undead spirits. And you can tell that he's kind of like scanning the room with some sort of magic spell that you don't know about while he's saying that.
Alright. Lead the way then.
Okay. Check my notes here. I'm using in-game notes now rather than like Google Docs and stuff. It's pretty fucking
Ooh.
sweet. This VTT is amazing. Alright, so Marin leads you out of the library into the hallway that you guys came into, the one where you had walked down it for a bit. And, walking over the twigs, you notice that the bodies of the cultists have been removed now. And that there are like silent watcher people who are kind of already tending to cleaning up the hallway and kind of restoring this floor. And he leads you down to a stairwell that is leading down to the next floor, one that you had walked by in the process of getting here, but had not gone down. And he leads you here. Walking down to the 5th level of the guild, there is a very noticeable difference. Somebody is like... Oh, Dylan. Dylan, don't breathe in your mic.
Oh, my bad.
You're fine. Anyways, there's a noticeable difference in just kind of like the building itself. The air is a little damp, and in the distance you can hear the sound of like flowing water. It's not as stale as a product of that, but it's also kind of a gross, maybe sewagey smell at the moment. And Marin leads you down these very tight corridors. And as he's doing it, and you guys can move yourselves, that's fine. He's just going to lead you all the way down this way. Sorry, I can't do it like super well, but anyways, it's very dark. So he leads you down these corridors, and while he's walking with you, he says, "Our sources tell us that this was once the security checkpoint for this hub. The narrow hallways and reinforced doors make this place rather difficult to penetrate. And there is another curious matter we must resolve." And you can see him hold his staff up in the air, and he uses his kind of like magic speak that he normally does, and as though to cast a spell, he goes through the motion, and you can see the magic kind of like, as it comes out of his staff, fizzle into nothing. And he turns to you and says, "No magic can be cast on this floor. It is curious, though, since this is the floor that Damon lived on." And Damon, as you're walking down these halls, you start to remember that this was the place that you spent about 30 years after waking up from your sentry mode. You see, as you kind of come across this corner, Anna standing with her back against the wall, and she's got a like silver longbow in her hands, and she's just kind of like standing with her back against the wall. Her armor is sort of shifting like a chameleon. As she, with her back against the wall, it's like a grayish stone, but as she like stands up and walks towards you, it starts to shift as the light changes to reflect that. And aside from her unveiled face, it's very difficult to like even notice her there. The light being cast off of like the sconces on the wall are kind of the only thing illuminating her, and her bow is kind of like glinting in the darkness. And Marin, kind of startled by her, turns to her and says, "Anna, I thought you were deeper down the sewer with Gorok and Ander." And she kind of laughs and says, "Yeah, I got tired of listening to them argue. Dragon Squad should be here soon, and then they can listen to them argue. I'm gonna go back up." And he looks a little bit defeated, but says, "Very well. When Dragon Squad arrives, you are relieved. Get some rest. Tomorrow is a big day." And she kind of like nods, and Marin and Arvine and Lyra continue down the hallway, beckoning you to follow. When you come to this intersection, I don't know how many of you can see. I guess you can't see because of the dark vision issue, but down that hallway, you can see in the darkness a very large mechanical golem which has been destroyed, basically torn apart, much like you saw on the 3rd level of the guild. But it is, here. Anyways, as you're walking down this corridor, Damon, you recognize the room to the north as being the place where you lived for 30 years and practiced your magic. Yeah, DeMarcus found the golem. You guys want to do anything, or do you want me to just keep moving with the tour?
I think Missile would probably try, like, seeing Marin be unable to cast magic. He would try to see if his artificer magic would have any truck down here. And so I think... I guess we'll just do like a magical tinkering, like I'll pick up a rock or a pebble or something and try to have it emit like a spark of light. Just something very simple with that tinkering spell.
Sure.
So I take out a tool, like carve a little rune on it and see if it'll start emitting a little spark of light.
It does, but it's very faint. The magic that seems to be preventing magic in this area seems powerful enough that it's weakening all types of magic.
Interesting.
John, can you put me back with the group, please? I am legitimately lost. Thank you.
Oh, snap.
Okay.
That's why we have the buddy system. Where's your
That's
buddy?
right. Hold hands in the dark.
That's exactly what it was. Like, everyone moves so quickly, and if I'm in back, like, I have like 1 second to keep up, or I'm like, oh shit, where'd they go?
Fair enough. Okay, so DeMarcus takes a weird turn and heads towards the sewer entrance where he hears running water and sees where it appears that the cultists had broken in and fought that golem, and he finds the corpse of a golem, and then he gets turned back around and runs and joins the group. Soon, Marin leads you into... One second. So Marin leads you, he kind of like walks past and he gestures to Damon's room and says, "I believe those are Damon's quarters. Does this remind you of anything, Damon?" I can't hear you, Leif, if you're trying to talk at all. I don't think I've heard you yet today.
Man.
Man, how much shit has Damon been saying since we've been in his home and we've just not heard it?
No.
Gee dang it.
Magic of retcon soon to come.
Yeah, here we go.
Discord is not our friend today.
I know.
Now.
Oh, yeah, I think you're good.
Okay. I've mostly just been saying generic stuff about how the place feels familiar,
Okay,
and then I confirmed that, yes, these were my quarters.
perfect. That makes sense for Damon. Anyways, he turns to you, though, and he says, "It is curious, though, that you, trained to use magic on this floor. Do you have any idea how you did that? Given the, limitations."
I do not. I was unaware of any magic inhibiting protocols in place on this floor. I merely awoke, and in order to occupy my mind for what I anticipated would be a very long time, I began to study what magic I could.
Would you humor us and cast a spell?
Of course.
What do you cast?
Fireball.
Yeah.
Action surge, double fireball
think-
the room.
I think in an effort to conserve more valuable spell slots, I will just cast Ray of Frost, like up north into my empty former quarters.
Okay. Everybody kind of stands back, and Damon shoots a ray of frost, or tries to shoot a ray of frost in the room. And as he does, you can see that the magic is slightly weakened, but he is able to emit a ray of frost into the air, and it shoots across the room and freezes the wall that it hits. And Marin looks at you kind of amazed. It says, "Very curious. We will have to get to the bottom of this very soon. Follow me." And then the three of them walk into this large room where there is a noticeable amount of dead cultists kind of piled up on the floor in various locations. And in front of this door, there's a giant door, sits two ginormous golems. Both seem to be in a little bit state of damage, as though they had recently fought something, and based off of the number of dead cultists in this room, you get the feeling that perhaps they had recently just killed all of them. The golems, which seem to be in a permanent mode of defensive sentry, do not acknowledge your existence, nor do they even seem to be alive. They just kind of stand there absolutely still, though given the damage to them and how they are not like completely coated in dust like everything else is in this room, you get the feeling that like they're very much alive.
Go ahead, Missile, sorry.
I was just going to run an investigation check to see if we could figure out with more precision what exactly is going on with these golems.
Can I aid Missile in investigating the golems?
Yeah, you can aid him. So, Damon, as you walk into the room, you immediately notice the two golems, but are completely oblivious to the fact that there is a very large door sitting in between the two of them. And Marin turns to you and says, "Damon, have you ever tried to open that door?"
Forgive me, Master Marin. What door?
He smiles, and he says, "Multanus was a damn genius." And he starts like reading through this book, which is Multanus' spell book that he's had with him for a while now, ever since Damon delivered it to him. You guys are investigating the golem. Roll an investigation check with advantage, Missile.
Will do.
Okay. I think you get +3 additional because of it's the matter that you're interested in, or no?
If it's history, I get the +3 additional. So.
Oh, yeah. We'll just say not quite. What exactly were you trying to figure out about the golems?
You said like they're active but in a defensive state and totally unresponsive, and I'm just wondering if there's a way we can get them to be responsive without being hostile.
Got it. Yeah, you discern that that if you were to, you kind of look around it, you don't get close, you don't touch it because there's potential it would attack you. But
right.
You just discern from looking at it that it has been set up to protect this door and to prevent anybody that was trying to break into it. And you don't get any vibe that you would be able to deactivate it unless you had some sort of code or, like spell.
Got it. Missile would probably go to Marin and say, "These golems are all purely defensive. Is there anything in Multanus' spellbook that could perhaps activate them or illuminate why they're here and why they're defending that door?"
Marin turns to you and says, "Indeed, that's what I suspected as well. Unfortunately, in order to deactivate the golems, one would have to cast a spell. But we cannot cast spells on this floor. It's an unsolvable puzzle."
I look kind of knowingly, but with a way that it expresses the obvious solution at Damon, and I kind of look back and forth between Marin and Damon.
He says, "Yes, you, can see what I just discovered. It appears that Damon is the only one who can cast magic on this floor, and I'm not entirely sure why." And he walks over to Damon, and he says to you, and he says this in Netherese, by the way, which only Missile can understand, and Damon. And he says, "Only the light of a monitor will protect this world from darkness." And as he says that to you, Damon, all of a sudden, you're able to see the door for the first time. Almost as though the door had always been there, but there had been something in your memory preventing it from showing up. Like it had been removed by or blocked by some sort of third party on purpose. And at that very moment, a bunch of memories start to flood back to you. And it's a number of memories involving the wizards who were in attendance on this floor with Multanus. A few like dinners where you guys all sat crowded around tables and discussed plans of places they wanted to go and see and spells that they were trying to unlock or cast. It was kind of like a collaboration of a bunch of very powerful wizards all meeting kind of almost for the first time for a few of them, but also some of them seemed to be old friends. And it was kind of a strange community of wizards meeting in secret on this floor of the guild, all working silently together to build all of these defenses, to assemble golems, to put up a magical barrier that prevented any spell from being cast. And you kind of remember the whole thing. You were there kind of with Multanus as he designed and planned out all of this stuff with all of these other wizards. They worked without even questioning exactly why they were working. It was almost like a unwritten secret, or unspoken secret amongst all of them, that they knew what they had to do, and they never even discussed why they had to do it. And as you're remembering all of this stuff, you feel a very powerful kind of like surge of energy in your chest, and you feel compelled to reach out and touch the door. What do you do?
I wordlessly reach out and grab the door and try to open it.
As you touch your fingers to the door, a great light emanates from your hand, and a whole bunch of gears start to clink and clank inside of the door. And all of a sudden, all of the metalworks inside of the door unlock, and it, like, the door just kind of swings open. And it leads down a flight of steps to a room which is emitting a faint light. And Marin laughs and says, "We've done it. We've finally made it down to the 6th level." And he goes over to you, Damon, and he turns to Lyra and Arvine and the rest of the group and just says, "Come, let's see what's left." And he starts walking down the steps. Do you guys come along?
I would follow
Yeah.
immediately behind if I can.
Okay. Yeah, you kind of like walk alongside him. Blah, 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 blah. Let me make sure I've got all the people I want. Oh, Arvine stays behind, but that's just because I didn't pull around this thing. Da, 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 da. As you descend the steps, you walk into a room that is emitting a faint gold and blue light, which like dance off the ceiling, and Marin seems to be walking at a higher clip than normal. He's like absolutely excited, and he walks into this room and turns to you and says, "Come, see."
John, I'm not seeing anything. I don't know if that's me or...
Oh, did I not put your token on you? I'll get you. I think I designed this back when you were still gone. No worries, I'll get you.
Huzzah! Alright, thank you.
Okay. In this room, you notice that there are a number of long hallways that are kind of in this soft tan limestone. Down the hallways, you see these kind of arched doorways with this intricate metalwork on them. And they say different things in Netherese, but you can't read them. Well, most of you can't read what they say. Damon, as you walk into the center of this room, the memories that you've recently had are flooding back to you even faster. You recall all of these wizards. You remember their names. You remember what they were like. You remember the things they said to you. You remember one of them inspecting you thoroughly as soon as he found you because he was so amazed by your construction. You remember the ritual that they cast when they came down here. And soon everybody starts to see this large glowing sigil on the floor. And Damon, you actually are called towards the center of it. And as you stand there, a little compartment in your chest seems to open up, and a bright white ball comes out of it. It's like a crystal ball, and it seems to hover in front of you, kind of in the air, but also in the center of this sigil, kind of floating there. And as it does, you remember the ritual that Multanus had cast, that this crystal ball that now was hiding in your chest had been in Multanus's hand, and around him stood 7 wizards, each for a different school of magic. You saw Udeldor, a halfling man who was balding, who stood at one corner casting his part of the spell. You saw Ezor, a human wizard with bronze hair and a staff that shimmered with light. You saw Isabella, a fierce-looking woman in modest gray robes. Oh, sorry, this one was Isabella. A fierce-looking woman in light gray robes with a staff made of white birch. You saw Alora, who's the one I just revealed earlier. An elven woman with dark hair and intense eyes, wearing purple robes, carrying a staff made entirely of ice. As she stands there, the staff emits little bits of snow which fall to the ground. You see... Oh, sorry, this guy. Not this guy. Yeah. You see Ilushan, an old gnomish man with a staff that looks like a column of smoke. He was wearing robes that seem to be made out of the scales of a blue dragon. And you see Thorgus, a man wearing dark black robes, carrying scrolls attached to his belt, with a very short black beard. And then lastly, you see Talatunus, a male elf, very tall, with kind of green leaves adorning his robe. He wields a staff that appears to be a tree with leaves that grow out of the top of it. And as he holds the staff, his skin turns to bark. And you see all of them standing around... Sorry, I have to... Multanus, a wizard in red robes, marked by the son of a monitor on his shoulders, holding a arcane crystal in front of him, which he's using to channel all of the spells, all of the abilities that are flying through and out of the stabs of these wizards. And as they complete the spell, this giant formation forms along the bottom, sealing away whatever's beneath the floor of this building. And you see each one of these wizards, after completing the spell, walk away to a different portal, saying their farewells. And as they leave and walk down these hallways, you see Multanus, one by one, closing a portal behind them until he's the only one left in the room. And you see him turn to you, Damon, and he opens up your chest, he puts the orb inside it, and he invites you up the stairs to where you'll spend the next 1,500 years. And that was the memory that was missing inside of Damon's head.
Damon would be silent for a pretty long time. And then he would turn and relay to everyone that I saw all of them. I remember all of them. This was the hub they were building. Portals in every direction to every distant land.
And Marin, you can tell, was kind of hoping for this. And he says, "And how did they cast magic? Could you tell?"
I will turn and offer the crystal to Marin and say, I don't know for sure, but this seems important.
As you turn over the spell to Marin, you can see him hold it, or the crystal to Marin. He holds it in his hand, and he turns to all of you, and he tries to cast a spell, and everybody in the room begins to levitate as he has cast fly on everybody. And you're now all floating. And he says, "You've done it. They must have had to use specific magic items. Soon we can open all the portals." And he looks completely overjoyed. And
I say.
oh, sorry, yeah, Bowser.
Well, what's the point of opening all the portals? What's there to accomplish?
Well, everything and anything. If the reach of the guild extends across all of Toril, we can help, we can defend, and we can protect everyone in the world.
Marcus sort of enters into the conversation and says, "And this is why the cult of Cyric wanted access, to do the opposite. Are we safe right now with the door open? We know how badly they want this, and now we know what's at stake."
Well, it's a very good point. We should leave and seal the door behind us until further notice. Um, yes. We cannot explore this until the cult has been dealt with. So, we should continue on with those plans.
I want
Where-
to site check Marin to see if he's only concerned about good or if he has something else that.
Yeah, inside him. You can tell that he genuinely wants to help the world.
Vosner settles
Where
his
do all the portals lead? Go
He
ahead.
gestures to the walls and he says, "The names are a bit dated, but I can tell you what these cities currently are." And he points one direction. He says, "That leads to the ancient kingdom of Halrua, still in existence." And he points directly south. He says, "That leads to the Narfell." He points to the one to the southeast. He says, "There, the modern city of Lurien." And then he points directly west and says, "It says, well, you would know it best as Gunderlin." He points to the northwest and says, "That leads somewhere near Icewind Dale." He points straight north and says, "There, the Isle of Chult." And then he points northeast and says, "Lastly, that leads to Silvery Moon."
Thank you for the translation. I haven't even heard of half of these places.
Yes, well, they're very far away. At least, they were. But DeMarcus is right. We should leave, and we should tend to our preparations. I'm guessing you guys need a long rest before we carry out what we need to carry out.
Yes, very much so.
Is there anything you guys would like to do before going back up?
I will go and inspect the Icewind Dale door and just kind of like linger there for a second.
For the record, what you guys see are just metal doors. The assumption is that beyond the metal door would be a room with a portal, but you also know generally that all of these portals have been closed, at least they are closed at the moment, with the idea that they could eventually be opened.
Mm.
So it's not like there's a portal with your home world sitting in it right now.
Oh, I know.
Got it.
Marcus asks Marin, can only Damon and the one who holds that crystal cast magic down here? Or does this mean that anyone can cast magic down here?
It appears that holding a specific item, namely this crystal, which belonged to Multanus, is a requirement to cast a spell. For that reason, I'm going to hold on to it and protect this place. Damon, I will give it back to you once I've found another item.
Marcus follows up and says, we know whether or not the powers of the gods connect through portals down here. As a paladin, can I still use certain powers?
All magic is cut off. Even divine magic.
To the news that Damon will not be receiving the crystal back, he just nods because he knows that that's probably wisest. And because of Moltanus's recommendation, he just like inherently trusts Marin. But it's still like a little sad for him to have like that remnant of Moltanus taken away.
Sure, totally.
Missile would go up to Marin and say, Master Marin, two quick thoughts. should you be inclined to try to make some sort of magic replica of that crystal sphere, I would very much enjoy the challenge of trying to make that happen. So if you find yourself in need of a copy, do come find me.
Yes, Missile, I will have you help me investigate this. It is curious that one item would enable somebody to cast magic in this room. I assume that the other magic items wielded by the other wizards were also of this sort. And perhaps we will have to track all of them down. Your investigation into this crystal may prove useful for this endeavor.
Okay. And then the other question would be regarding those golems. I'm confident we could get them operational again. And perhaps send them through these portals along with us should we need them. Is there any way to gain those golems as members of Bear Squad?
Well, a golem like that would be very formidable on the battlefield. I can see why you would want that. But they're very large and slow, so I imagine that they would not make good traveling companions. That said, reprogramming them and utilizing them would be the best for defensive purposes, for sure. And I could use your help in that endeavor.
Missile says okay, but he looks a little disappointed that he's not going to be able to fight with golems, but that's fine.
Hey, maybe when you're level 20, you can, like, ride in one. Maybe that'll be our deal.
I'm writing that down.
They are
I'm living for that day. That has to happen now, or I'm going to be just hopelessly destroyed.
Yeah. Given how powerful they are, it would be like a level 20 ability for sure. Not to spoil it
Like
or anything.
Godzilla.
Yeah.
So DeMarcus kind of like, after that conversation transpires, DeMarcus kind of like grimly picks up after hearing a part of it, and he kind of looks around the room to everybody and he says, there are certain artifacts in the world missing that allow anyone who holds them to cast magic down here. We all need to agree that that secret dies with each and every one of us, and we never let it out. Because if the Cult of Cyric ever recovered one of those items, we could lose everything.
That is a very good point, Marcus. You should keep on the lookout if you see any item matching the description of what Damon here just shared.
I assume Damon shared the story with everybody?
Yeah, with like all. I don't know if he would have like shared all the names, but he would have like.
Okay, yeah.
Talked about their stabs and what they were holding and what was going on.
Okay, sure. So we'll just say that you gave vague enough details so that they know what's going on, but maybe you didn't tell them everything in order to remain somewhat safe and secret. Okay.
Yeah.
I turn to Damon and I say, well, from what you described, these markings on the floor are some top or some cork to something powerful or dangerous. Do you remember what they were trying to do here?
I believe it was more about protection from the danger than investigation or harnessing of whatever it is that may lay beneath here.
Hmm.
Missile yawns.
Yeah, okay. So if you guys are done with your questions about this place, we can send you back to the barracks, or where else would you want to go? I guess barracks is probably most sensible. Barracks it is. Great discussion. Alright. You guys are led back up the long stairs that, and it's kind of a journey now. I mean, you're seriously walking up like, 4 different flights of very large sets of stairs, kind of winding through hallways to get back to here. And once you get back to the first level of the guild, at least basement level 1, which is where your barracks is, you can notice for the first time like how remarkably different this is. The floor in here is polished and kept beautiful, and the walls are pristine and clean, and you really get a sense for like how much, if this whole building is as old as all those lower floors, then like how much this place has been kind of taken care of and refined over the last years since Marin started excavating this site. And you find yourself back in the barracks after what was probably a very long day. And it's still, let's say, like 2 p.m. maybe? So you still have some stuff you can do in the evening if you'd like.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, now I can.
Okay, good.
Missile sighs and goes, I missed that library already.
Those books were dangerous.
He looks at you knowingly and says, all books are dangerous, and then winks.
Marcus collapses on his bed and falls asleep.
Vosner kind of like narrows his gaze. He's like, "It's true. You're probably the wisest among us when it comes to books."
In lieu of anything else happening, Damon would kind of just get up and want to go like to like the regular library and just start looking for any mention of any of the wizards' names through like any sort of history text you can find.
Yeah. I'm going to spare you a little bit of the details on that, since I'm gonna give you some longer detailed stuff about that, but you can find records. These are wizards that some of them especially went on to after this moment. I mean, some of them were famous before this, but no record tells you anything of this event, and all you find is a number of like histories of like these wizards and descriptions that kind of matched your description, and how they went on for, you know, decades and some of them centuries afterwards to do all sorts of very powerful, heroic, and important things in the world.
Is it well established the nature of their, maybe you just said this, the nature of those significant objects that they had during the ritual, or is that like, will we find that to be conspicuously absent from the historical accounts or something?
No, a number of them are associated with these objects. So, yeah, I mean, just a brief historical research would tell you, like, yeah, these people are associated with these items. Some of these items are very famous. Some of these items have been the target of, you know, artifact hunts deep in various caverns and stuff. Some of them have been, you know, stored or seen before, and some of them have been kind of lost completely. You know, like they're mentioned, he's holding this staff, and then it's unknown where the staff currently resides.
Yeah, because that would be Damon's like primary interest in this research, is trying to determine locations of those items.
Yeah,
as far as
absolutely.
he's able to.
Yeah, he not able to discern anything in particular. I would say there's going to be, Marin's also going to be researching this, so he'll share some of his findings in the near future, but I just wanted to give you some heads up.
Cool.
If it's only like 2 p.m., could I go to the Leewind and check on Johaf?
Yeah, absolutely. Does anybody else going?
I'll say to the group, I'm going to go into town and see if Johaf is alright or if he is awake yet.
Karen will go with her.
Vosner will follow after.
Okay.
You know what? Missile and Mortimer will go too.
Alright, well, are Damon and DeMarcus coming too?
Somebody wants me to go, they're gonna have to wake me up.
Damon will go, assuming he's not occupied in the library.
Yeah.
Yes, I will nudge DeMarcus and say, we're going to the Leewind to check on Johoff. Do you want to stay and sleep?
He kind of like mutters to you that he just feels weak.
Right.
Not really an answer. He's just sharing that information.
Yeah. She, just pats him on the arm and leaves him alone.
And he falls back asleep.
Okay. So I'm just gonna. So here's the problem. If I don't put DeMarcus in the scene, you guys can't see shit. So, DeMarcus, if you're not here, then sorry, your token has to come. Okay. So you guys head towards the Lee Wind, and as you do, you kind of walk through the streets of Mawstone, where there are flyers up saying things like, William Baudry for mayor, the council is dead, lots of kind of political things, and you see people are kind of in a frantic state. Things are a little bit exciting, but it's also a little bit unsure. And one second. You guys finally make it to the Leewind after a long stroll, and it loads, and yeah, I'm waiting for everybody to load in. It's taking a second.
Yeah. They're stuck at 90%.
Oh, I've just reached 100.
What's happening?
Strange. While this is taking a while, I'm gonna do a 5-minute break. I'll be right back.
Okie dokie.
Hey, we did it.
What'd we do?
Okay. Is everybody back?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Okay.
Tim, are you here?
Was it clearer in the first half of the game or no?
It does sound kind of like you're in a big empty room now versus before, or it's hard to say. I can't remember what you were like when you first started, but I mean, it sounds fine to me.
I'm here as Hayeza, not Taryn. I think I'm in the wrong room.
Oh, yeah, so my bad. Huh.
Surprise plot twist.
How's that?
How about now?
Is that better now?
Yeah, that's
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it sounds fine, Laurel.
Okay.
But I think now it sounds less like you're in an open room, so I think this is now
Yeah.
your headset mic.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys walk into the Lee Wind, and it's a little bit of a strange sight. At a table, you see two crimson rats playing poker with a silver crab, which is something you hadn't really seen in this place before. You get the feeling that maybe they're sort of like refugees, so to speak, of the Crimson Rats after the cult situation took over. And as you walk in, the bartender, who is just like serving another drink to Elvinor, who's just endlessly drinking at the bar, and he looks up at you, just kind of does like a double take because he sees Taryn. He's like, hey buddy, what are you back? How long are you staying? Are you, I hope it's a while.
we're grabbing some drinks and gonna check on Johoff. How's the Leewin been?
God, you look good. Sorry. Yeah, it's good. Things are good. Things are, now that I think about it, you guys should probably go downstairs. There's a big meeting going on, and well, I'm sure you're welcome. Taryn, if you want to stay up here, though, you're more than welcome. There's always a seat at this bar.
I'll go ahead with check on Johoff, but I'll be back.
God, all right. Every time you say that. All right. And so he kind of points to this door, and you've been down this door or into this back room before. If you go into the kitchen and then go directly south, it leads you to this kind of cellar that leads you under the building. In fact, this is the cellar that you first found Quollum in. I'll throw you guys all down there. So DeMarcus and the rest of you. Oh, it's gonna be it's tight squeeze. All right. Oh, that was like perfect. You come down to a scene that's a little bit confusing. You see a lot of figures, and you get the vibe that this is sort of a meeting of the heads, so to speak, of various criminal organizations in the city. You see Helena standing next to Galen, and Bill Thorne, the mediator, Big Pete, all in this room, all discussing sort of what to do. And as you walk down the stairs, all of them draw their weapons, and then upon seeing that it's you guys, go back to being at ease. They put all their weapons away. Big Pete looks at the rest of you and says, "Hey, Johoff, your companions are here." And in the back of the room, you see Johoff, who is still alive, but looks like total shit. There. And he's sitting kind of next to Cass, who has been sort of feeding him, and well, not feeding him, but like handing him supplies and bringing him stuff to kind of nurse this epic hangover of a poisoning that he experienced. And the kind of heads of the criminal syndicates go back to talking with one another as you guys kind of stop interrupting them. In the back room, by the way, you see Chuthra, Bradson, Zert, Hayeza, and Aaron. All of these figures who are sort of protectors and/or members of the various criminal organizations here.
Cool.
Looks like we're finally welcome someplace.
Do you say that to anybody, or are you just saying that out loud?
I kind of whisper it to Taryn. Taryn's next to me.
Okay.
Yeah, Taryn or Zelda.
Terran's a little confused because he's welcomed everywhere.
Very welcome here.
God, so welcome.
So welcome.
I'm gonna kind of immediately, not like make a quick beeline, but walk across the room towards Johoff.
All right, there's Johoff, actually awake.
Huzzah!
That's exactly what Johoff would say.
Yeah, what is he doing right now?
He's just sitting. Doesn't look like he can do, like, a ton more than that. He's just kind of sitting.
I'll walk up to him and just say, "It's nice to see you awake."
Yeah, well, it's nice to be awake. I mean, I think it was a bit touch and go there for a bit. I don't really remember much of it, but, yeah, it feels like it's been stuck up a troll's ass for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, it was, it sounded like you were in a lot of pain.
Yeah, well, I guess you'd know, wouldn't you?
We tried to heal you pretty quickly, but, it looks like you've gotten some better care since you've been here.
Well, yeah, I don't know about better, but, you know, annoyingly attentive, I suppose. He turns and kind of winks at Cass. So, you know, what's your group been up to?
Oh gosh. Well, we tried to bring the issue of the Lockwaters to the attention of the town guard. And, it looks like we will have to go and find Peter Lockwater. He escaped during the fight, so it is kind of a job half done.
Yeah, well, it didn't go so well last time we faced him. I hope you've got a plan to face him again.
We are working on it with the guild. There is a bit of overlap in our, I guess, motivations at this point to go in to the sewers and see about the cultists. I don't imagine you will be up for joining us.
Well, I don't know about that. You know, feeling a little weak, but I can soldier on.
Is there anything I can do to help?
John, is it just that my health is really low,
Yeah.
or like what?
Yeah, so since then, you've basically, the poison's gone. You're, the only thing that affects you is that your health now is really low. But yeah, you're, I would say, like, a long rest away from being back to normal.
Yeah, well, how much time we got on this, Lockwater shit?
Well, it is kind of a bit late in the day to do it this evening, but probably in the morning. We all had some conflicts elsewhere and will definitely need some rest.
For the record, Laurel, it seemed like Master Marin was going to orchestrate something, not for today, but for the next day. So
Yeah, I got that because he told Anna that it was a big day tomorrow.
right.
Well, you give me a good night's rest. I suppose I can probably get back on my feet, all right?
All right. That is good news. I think we will be better for having you with us.
Yeah, I suppose. I don't know about that anymore, but in any case, another body to take some blows. What never hurts.
Well, it is also very much alright if you are, going to retire a bit from helping us with our enemies, you know? I don't want to put you right back into danger.
Look, it kind of leans forward away from Cass, so she can't hear as clearly. But you and I both know that fight shouldn't have gone to me. There's no real reason I won that fight. I lay here for a long time thinking about whether that just means I should give it up, maybe just try to find me an honest job, whatnot, or whether that means I should be getting back into the fray. And, I've still got unfinished business out there, so I think a little bit of danger might do me some good.
I understand. Well, you're welcome to keep brushing up on your fighting skills against the cultists then. And either you come and find us in the morning or we will come find you.
Yeah, why don't you come find me? I mean, if you're going into the sewer anyway, you're coming through here.
Yeah. Well, perhaps.
Yeah, well, I much prefer the hospitality here at the Leewind and at that guild of yours, so if it's all the same for you, I think I'd rather stay here.
Understood. That is fine. It is, just good to see that you are up and, on the mend.
Yeah. Oh, hey, you offered if there's anything you could do to help.
Yeah.
He leans forward again. Cassie has been a bit stingy with the ale. I thought maybe you could, slip me a little if you got some.
I will see what I can do.
Yeah, well, I don't know how you can expect a fighting man to get back on his feet without a little bit of drunkenness. That's all I'm saying.
It's good for your health. That's what they say.
It's what I say, anyway.
I'll see what I can do. And I'll, go back towards Big Pete and see about getting a drink for Johoff.
You sort of wait for a lull in the speech between Helena, Big Thorn, Bill Thorn, the mediator, and Big Pete, and they're arguing about what to do next.
I won't interrupt then. I would go up to Tommy and get a drink.
No, it's fine. Big Pete sees you come in, he kind of gestures you over, and he's like, "What's it? What you need?"
I think that Johoff would recover a lot faster if he had a couple pints.
Yeah, you're probably right. And he pulls a mug off the top of the big cask there and pours a giant thing of ale and hands it to you. He says, "Hey, you guys up for another foray into the sewers?"
I think it is in the books that we will. Probably tomorrow.
Very well. Well,
we're planning a bit of a invasion, so to speak, of the cult territory, so if you would like to assist us in our endeavors, then we would, repay you kindly. Can't have cultists running around underneath Mossstone now, can we?
Have you talked at all to any members of the guild other than us?
Well, I'm not exactly sure if I know any other members of the guild, so, no. Except for Joe
Right.
Hoff here, who seems to have, ingratiated himself amongst the, higher class.
I would not say that to Johoff.
Yeah, well, he seems to have developed a taste for the high life.
Well, our Master Marin at the guild, is also planning to go down into the sewers tomorrow to deal with the cultists, and I don't want it to be a situation where we think that we are enemies. So, if it is alright with you, I will let him know there is another party that will be down there.
You telling me your greatest magician you've ever, created or whatever is going down into the filth to deal with the cult?
I don't know if he personally will, but possibly some of the other masters.
Well, I don't want to interfere with, guild situations, but we'll be available if you need us for, navigation and the like.
Of course, we would be fools not to take you up on that.
You would.
As they're exchanging, I walk up and I say, well, I think it would be helpful to know where you guys will be and where we're coming from, and then maybe we can maybe coordinate a way to take care of these cultists together. I mean, we all live in Mossstone, so...
Well, if you're, up for sharing, would you be willing to tell us, what your timetable is, or...?
I look over at Izzy and I say, well, I know tomorrow we will be heading down there. And, well, I guess after we talk with the masters, we can definitely send a message your way, most likely. And I think it'd be helpful. Probably this evening at some time.
Well, I will get the message out that any guild member that wants to trespass through the sewers can do so, uninhibited like.
I appreciate that. And I'll just take the ale and kind of nod my head at him and walk back to give it to Johoff. For your health.
Thanks much.
Cass kind of looks at you and goes, "Giving a poisoned man more poison? Sounds smart." And she walks away and stands against the wall.
I think you've lost your nurse.
Yeah, well, she knows deep down this is good for what ails me.
I certainly hope so. But get some rest. I will try to keep you in the loop and come back and get you in the morning.
Yeah, sounds good. I mean, I understand if he doesn't want to stay here, but you're always welcome at the Lee Wind if you guys want to stay here the night.
That is very generous.
Yeah, also, I have no idea what you people did before I met you, but that fucking bartender, if I have to listen to him talk about that Dragon Boy one more minute, I'll fucking lose my mind.
I mean, Terran is very lovable. It is certainly not Tommy's fault.
Yeah, fair enough, but I mean, she put a spell on him or something.
No, he's just very charming. But we can't stay here because Dorian, our fighter, is back at the guild, resting from some necrotic damage. So.
Yeah. Oh well. Sounds good then. I'll see you in the morning, I suppose.
Deal.
Okay. Is there anything else people would like to do in this scene?
I would like to say hello to Hyeza.
You do. If you want, you can do it, Taryn. Otherwise, I can do it as a or Stan.
Yeah, I can do it.
Okay.
He says hi back. It's kind of like a formal type thing. He's not like super chill with you guys right now, I guess.
Mm-hmm. That's fair. I'd imagine she can pick up on that.
I mean, he's not like trying to be an asshole about it, but like he's not chummy at the same time. So yeah, she'd probably.
Yeah, that's fair. 'Tis nice to see you. And she'll just kind of like give him a nod.
He'll kind of nod back.
Alright.
Like, when she just kind of gave him a nod, was it like, I'm nice to see you, I'm heading away? Or is it like just nodding while in the conversation?
Just kind of like a little bow of the head, like acknowledging that he's there and, that it is genuinely nice to see him. She doesn't want him to think that they're ignoring him.
Okay, yeah. He'll just kind of be like, yeah, you too. Is the guild making progress with the cult?
They are trying. It seems like progress is being made, though it also seems like every time we meet new cultists it is more difficult, so progress is a strange word.
Fair enough.
And how have you been?
I've been well. We're doing what we can on our end.
To fight the cult?
Yes.
Well, I hope you are staying safe. There are, as far as we've been told, very powerful people, very powerful casters that we might run into, so I don't know. It is... She looks like she's having trouble finding the words to say, we might all die tomorrow.
He seems kind of amused by like the I hope you're safe type of thing, and kind of jokes that it's probably safer where he is than with the group, with the squad.
Hey, John.
Yeah.
There's like 2 ways that she could take that. And I'm wondering if I could maybe roll insight to see whether or not that's a slight against the group.
Oh, yeah, I mean, unless he's trying to, like, play with your mind a little bit, I'm guessing he could just tell you his intent for that.
Yeah. He's kind of, like, making it ambiguous. Like, it could be that he's like, you guys are terrible and get everybody killed, but it's also like, you guys go into danger at the same time. Like, he's leaving it, like, purposely vague. So you can take it how you want. It's probably both.
Okay. Well, I don't think that any of us are safe. no matter where we are or who we are with, until all of this is over.
True enough.
Are you joining in the, I guess, war on the cultists tomorrow?
He kind of motions at Helena and says, I'm following her lead on this.
Understood. Well, that is where we will be, so hopefully we will return and see you again sometime soon.
Yeah, best of luck.
Same to you.
He kind of nods like a thanks for that, I guess.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Perfect. So, is there anything else anybody'd like to do in the Lee Wind before, or also after the Lee Wind? I guess before we leave, does anybody have anybody else they want to talk to?
Just before we leave, and for no purpose other than it would amuse me, while the other conversations were going on, Missile noticed a sound that sounded familiar, but he couldn't quite figure out what it was. And so he wandered into this back room, and he sees the luthier there, or the luthier, or whatever the guy playing the lute.
Bradson.
And he realizes that the familiar sound that he couldn't figure out was somebody making music. And so as he's listening, he's like puzzled by the noises Bradson there is making out of his lute. And so if you were to look at Missile, his brow would be furrowed, he'd be rubbing his chin, trying to figure out what in the world is going on. Not moving at all, but Mortimer at his side, if you'd look, you'd see him bouncing in tune with the melody that Bradson's playing there. So Mortimer would enjoy Bradson's tune, but Missile would be puzzled by it.
Maybe a memory from his childhood.
Or he just doesn't understand music at all.
That's fair.
Fair enough. Okay. Anybody want to interact with that or no?
It was during my conversation, so I'm not going to go for it.
Yeah.
I think I would be talking to Bill Thorne too.
Yeah, what would you like to say to Bill Thorne?
I'd go up to him and say, it looks like the guild is heading into the sewers tomorrow. And well, you did mention that evidence for our friend that we're concerned about. Would there be a way to have a guide to your old office, just in case we get over there?
Look, it should be pretty obvious which room's mine and which room belongs to the cult. My room won't have, blood in it.
That's good to know. No blood. I know that you're essentially out of the business, but I'm glad that, I don't know, all parts of the city are working together to get rid of this. It's definitely, the cult is definitely something that can't stay.
Yeah, no shit.
Give him a knowing nod and say, well, if I see you tomorrow, I see you tomorrow.
That's true.
End scene.
Bill Thorne's not nice. I don't know if you gathered that. A little peek behind the veil there on that one. Okay, so is there anything else we want to do?
There, so...
Okay. If not, then what are you guys doing with the rest of your evening? Are you just going to bed? Or are you gonna talk to anybody? Are you gonna message people? What?
I
we
might
ever
need
get
to
what we-
correct.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm looking something up.
Oh, I was just gonna say, did we ever get anything that we needed to like convince the stoner teller at the bank that he should give us the ledger?
Yes.
Yeah, you guys got the permission to, like, basically
Well, I
a
just
warrant.
have, like a letter from the town guard union.
Mm-hmm.
And we also would want to check on like the interest on the acorn we deposited probably as well.
Definitely.
Paco's looking for his quarterly return.
So you guys are going to the Mossstone Bank?
We also should probably stop at a shop and get supplies, because I think we have like a paltry amount of guild coins, but we have 7,000 gold. So if we want potions and stuff, we gotta find a potion seller.
And I have to create a scene with a potion seller really fast.
Just make it picnic. Maybe we can exchange gold for guild coins.
Yeah. Well, we can set something up if you guys want to buy potions and
I'm
stuff.
sure he needs real gold to buy supplies.
Yeah. I hadn't even thought about that for some dumb reason. Like, I keep giving you guys gold, and I haven't really given you, aside from the armor shop, a really good way to spend that. So, let's, unless you have something very specific you have in mind, let's just, like, table that, and I will make sure to have, avenue. I guess I had the market, the Mossstone Market, in the foreign district that you could go to for shit. So yeah, I guess I could just pull up that scene and it would